Hello, and thanks for joining. Tonight we're hitting the Astrocasts website again. To review what we worked on last time, we worked on being able to get the calendar information that I'm hosting on Google in iCal format so that the website can let people know when the next episode is. So I'm going to make sure I get in the right directory. And then we're going to run the command. And we have bin console and then app get calendar. We're not actually persisting this calendar information anywhere interesting other than Redis. So we're using the built-in Symfony simple cache to store this information. And as you can see, the cache expires after about 24 hours, which is why I don't have it on my local site. So I'm going to load this up here. And if all goes well and things are still working, when I reload, this page should say what's happening. So there's a couple of things that are problematic with this particular implementation. One of them is here showing that it starts 4 minutes ago. What I'd really like to do is have some way to say something more interesting there, like starting soon or starting any minute now, something along those lines. The other thing is if I leave this page open, it's just going to stay like this. So, 4 minutes might pass, 10 minutes might pass, 5 days might pass, and it's going to continue to say 4 minutes ago. So what I want to do is try to find a way to show this information when the page loads, but also do some JavaScript stuff to try and update this over time. The implementation that I'm thinking about right now probably won't do a very good job of looking at this changing. So for example, after this particular session is over, I don't know if at least right away it's going to be able to say, oh, hey, it's going to go back to the server and check to see if the next, when the next episode is going to be. So we're not going to worry about that just yet. At least being able to see this value change as you're watching it would be something that is a good start from where we're currently at. So I've been doing some sketching on what I'd actually like to see this application or see this work like. I have a little Scratch file here, and ideally I'd like to be able to pass in the time. So we're going to have a countdown until time. I might just actually say until. Pass in a time. I'm not sure if I'm going to have to pass in like UTC or if I'm going to, do some weird things with time zones or whatever. But I know I have to pass in the actual time into the component to actually do something. I want to be able to pass a style. So I want the output to be able to be either in this style, like in 18 minutes, or something that's more like a digital clock style. So I'm going to be using this same functionality in a couple of places. So I want to be able to output something differently. And then also, as we can see here, this has the prefix. So I'm going to duplicate this, some of the logic that is found in the time diff twig extension we were using from, I think it was Sensio Extras or something like that. So we're going to have the same sort of format here to say in 18 minutes, in 18 minutes, 32 seconds. I don't know how deep I want this to go just yet. I don't know if I want that to be. I don't know if I want it to be configurable. For example, I potentially could want it to be something like in 18 minutes, 32 seconds. I'm probably not going to make it super configurable, but we'll see. It really depends on where it's going to be used. The main thing is that I want this number to change in this context. In the digital clock context, I do actually want it to change all the way down to the seconds, just because it's going to be used probably on the loading screen. So I'm going to put that up for just a second. Like right now, what I have something like this. And ideally, what I would want is to have a screen like that doesn't look like an offline page anymore, but actually essentially says stream starting in, and then it'll give that time. That way, I can fire that screen up before the stream starts. So I can start the stream, 15, 20 minutes early sometimes. And then anybody who checks in on the page early or checks in on the stream early would have a better idea of what's going on. If they just see a white screen, there's a good chance they're just going to be bored with that right away and bail. If they at least see a countdown timer to a time based on my calendar of when I'm planning to stream, and I've actually started broadcasting because I know I'm about ready to start broadcasting, I think it'll work a lot better for people so they can better understand what to expect. And then I want to have, I called it a past label. I'll have to come up with something different. But when these values get to 0, I don't want them to say 4 minutes ago or 30 seconds ago. What I really want them to do is switch to something that indicates something that indicates that whatever was going to happen, whatever transition was supposed to happen, is going to happen soon. Chances are I'm not always going to be starting the actual broadcast right at 0. So I wanted to say something so that if someone sees any second now, they know that hopefully something's going to be coming along the way, instead of saying 4 minutes ago, in which case they'll just be like, well, okay, what? Great, it started 4 minutes ago. What's up with that? So this is kind of how I want it to work, and I could probably do something like this with like React or Vue, but one of the things that I've been looking at lately, or have seen more pop up, are these web components. I think I looked at these a little bit in a previous session, because I was thinking about using a web component for the video player. And we took a quick look at like Google's Google YouTube web component. They are essentially bundles, I believe, bundles that will sort of act like a component in some other of the frameworks. So they hook into JavaScript. They're relatively well supported. It looks like there might be some polyfills. So I need to kind of figure out what's going on, but I want to see if I can actually start building something. So let's see, browser support. I mostly focus on Chrome personally, but it looks like these HTML template things are stable across the board. Custom elements, not sure what that is exactly. So I should probably click into these and find out what they are. I don't know if I would need Shadow DOM. And then ES modules. So these are all supported. Let's see if they have. Let's see, getting started. Custom ES module specification finds inclusion and reuse of JavaScript documents in standard-based modular performant way. How to declare fragments of markup that go unused at page load but can be extended later. Okay, so I think these things could be pretty useful, and the way that they look like they're being used looks like it would be really awesome to actually be able to use this. So this is actually using node modules. It's using paper. So the example looks pretty much exactly like what I want. So paper view overview, cd new app install. So how to define a new HTML element. So the section talks about cross-browser. Use the JavaScript file. Use JavaScript to define an HTML element with custom element global. Custom list define with the tag name you want. All right, so I'm just going to jump right in and see if we can just work through this. So I need to go down to Astrocasts, and we need to watch in the Astrocast directory. Make sure everything fires up correctly. Awesome. Okay, so let's get in here now. So we have countdown is what I want to call it. And I should be able to do this inside my app.js. So we'll go app.js. And for at least for now, I'm just going to do this all in app.js just to play with it here. I'm going to call this countdown. Not going to do anything with the body just yet, and I'm going to call it countdown. So I think that's what I was going for, right? Yeah, countdown. And specify this class here. All right, so in theory, this should all work. Let's see what we got. Looks like it's actually compiling. All right, so then I should be able to do countdown inside my application. So I'm going to go into home controller. Oh, no. Home dot, there we go. I'm going to do live sessions, actually. So I'm going to work on this page, because this page, at least currently, doesn't have, this page doesn't currently have the autoplay functionality. So I'm going to say starts, and then I'm going to just use this right here. So I'm going to do countdown timer. Oh, no, countdown. There we go. All right, so it should actually be doing something there. Let's make sure. Yeah, so it is doing countdown, so it's at least doing that. Hasn't actually done anything yet, and that's fine. So let's see here. Using a custom element is no use different than using a div. Instance can be declared on the page, created dynamically, event list should be attached, etc. So I don't want to do anything with the shadow root. Let's see, header, attach shadow. All right, so now I think I need to start jumping into how do I define a new HTML element? That's there. Add event listeners. All right. Let's take a look at, oof, this is not going to be fun. Script. Template element. All right. Let's see if we can find a good edit word, editable list. Let's do simple template. Okay, so constructor, super. Where can I see these? Supported events. All right, so we can do something in the constructor as long as we call super. So let's go ahead and do that so we can see if it's actually loading the stuff. And if we actually see this in the console, then it's actually doing something. All right, failed to execute define custom, not a valid custom element name. What? Why not? The name you're giving to the element. Oh, custom element names require dash to be used, and then they can't be single words. All right, so we'll do Astrocasts countdown. Yay! And then let's go change this to, there we go. New operator. This DOM constructor cannot be called as a function. Fun times. All right. Super. Huh. Do some simple examples. Interesting. So there's something not right here. Browsers that do support. This message means you need a polyfill for browsers that do support custom elements. That sounds a bit strange to define based on classes, and for supporting older browsers are normally compiled down to administrative. Normally, I'm adding this polyfill. That's bizarre. All right, so if this is really saying that we need to add custom elements polyfill, awesome. All right, so I'm trying to figure out the best place to use that. Webpack. Let's see how people use this. Let's see here. I guess I could have written it this way, it looks like. If you decide to build your loader. A small example project. That's weird. Okay, so let's do Webpack. So Polyfill. So my code, exports, Bevel Polyfill, just do and add it as an entry point in your Webpack. Return it back to. Wow. All right, so I'm going to try adding this to an entry. So let's see here, we have I don't know if that's going to work. Encore. Some elements need. I don't think this was what I needed to do. Wonder if I can just do it in app.js. I don't know if that's going to work. Well, let's give it a try. All right, let's see if it gives me the same error. Yes. So usage is supposed to just use it. nothing require. So it was already there. Ejecting source of the procedure. All right. Right, internal native shim. Loading this shim minimally augments the native code. Okay. I don't know if this is going to matter. Well, that did it. Don't know what this will do. I don't know what this is going to do if I don't actually, if you're in an environment that doesn't need the shim, but hopefully it's just going to work. I'm gonna try this. So we still might need the polyfill. Okay, so first thingy, we get that okay. I'm just going to work, or assume this is just working. So if we get back to the scratch, we need OnTill and then a style. So I'm going to figure out how to take those arguments. So let's see. Let's get rid of this stuff, at least for now. Custom elements. Autonomous, standalone, they don't adhere from custom elements. Through simple examples. All right. Span, open. Over in HTML, we would use this. So how are we getting image and text? Document create on an image. Okay, so we can do this .get attribute. Let's do style. And then we'll do end label. All right. Let's do so let's do style equals textual. And why is that complaining? Oh, I wonder if I can't use style. I bet that's the problem. Because it's probably a reserved word. Hold you display style. Hadn't really considered that before. I'll do display style. All right, so we do have textual here. Until is null because we didn't pass it in yet. So we'll do until event dot start. We'll just send it in like that and let's see what it gets. Can we convert it to a string, right? So date. I think we might be using moment.js for this. So let's see what sort of input it takes. One with locales. Let's add it to yarn. Date formats, calendar time, relative time. Cool. All right, so let's do getting started. Time math versus date math. Let's do zones. Time zone, usually more than one offset from UTC, several. Let's see, so let's infer a time zone from just an offset value. So moment time zone, I think we're going to want that package. All right, so December. So we pass in this type of data. We should be able to get stuff back. Convert dates between time zones. All right. So first, let's just format it as R. Let's see what it gives us. So Friday, October 5th at 1 a.m. So that's actually going to be UTC. format it can take. Okay. Let's get the time zone then. Do a string. All right, so let's do until not actually displaying it. All right, so we're getting the source time zone, but this value is not in local time. If I'm getting this right, so date format. The moment time zone is using this time, which is what we're getting. So let's just try that. Moment. Moment until .tz source time zone .format. I think it's probably not going to know how to do this. TZ is not a function. Okay, so this is working as expected. The value here is UTC. If I tell it which time zone was the source time zone, it knows that it's 8 p.m. This stuff until, ooh. Does JavaScript have an until keyword? Well, you know what? I'm just gonna let it maybe get mad at me. Then you know what, I'm getting too complicated there. I don't know if that actually is going to matter. Well, no, because we need now. All right, so let's go docs. Let's have manipulate display durations. The seconds use this. Let's use moment from. Get a difference for another measurement. Pass the measurement as the second argument. All right, so this.until is not a function. All right, so this get attributes. How do I format these? All right, so let's do days, hours. That does not look right. Oh, I guess it might be. It's 55 minutes. Yeah. But this... So that's total number of seconds. That's so... we'll truncate to the result to 0 decimal places. If you want a floating point number. We need to reverse these. All right, so we're getting the total number of seconds, which means we're going to get the total number of minutes. So really, okay, well, I think that's working. It's a little weird that they're all going to be negatives, though. I think probably what I can do is if now is greater than this dot until So what I can do right away is figure out how I set stuff inside the custom element. Set context, brevity. I don't really want to do the shadow stuff. I wonder if that's the only way I can do it. Expanding list. So, connected callback. Oh, not there. Probably want to do this there. Okay. So if I do want to try to do this shadow DOM stuff, there's a polyfill for it. I guess do the same thing we did for web components. Web components, custom elements. This would have been easier a long time ago. All right, custom elements, polyfill. All right, so what did this actually need? So it brought in web components. So it brought in everything the same way. So maybe it can still just work. So let's see here, usage. I just need to bring this in. All right. So if we go back to our example, so we do this in the constructor. So what we're going to do is display the ended label. I'm going to see if this works the way I think it does. Show ended label. All right, we'll just do show ended. Not sure why they're having this handled differently. I'm sure there's going to be some issues here, but let's just pretend there aren't. Shadow DOM. I don't actually have to do anything with this, I don't think. I'm not going to do anything with this for now. Let's see if that makes the text hide. Yeah, so what's this doing here? Const shadow element. Oh, good old typos. There we go. Okay, so showing ended, and creating that shadow DOM did apparently hide the text that was there before. So I think just doing this caused that text to be replaced. Elements of the shadow are accessible JavaScript outside the root. Closed. So words. Count words in the element's parent element. Okay. So what I think I'm going to do see if that works. All right, so now we have access to shadow, and let's do shadow this dot ended label. LM not defined, of course. So this dot ended label is null. Probably because of some weird scope thing, because scope is awesome. Ended label. All right. Astrocasts countdown. I guess I didn't actually set it, so I can't complain too much. Label. Cool. So one thing that I can do is this dot interval equals, and then show ended can actually stop it. So if I look at it now, it keeps sending any second now. It's going to keep adding those. But what I'm going to do is see if I can do cancel or clear. There we go. Clear interval. This dot interval. And in theory, once it stops, it should just be done. Cool. All right, so I like this because I haven't had to change a whole lot. So any second now. Eventually, I'm probably going to want to do something on the PHP side as well, or the Twig side, so that it shows up correctly. Let's start looking at some styles. So rather than using this value as is, I'm going to say until time zone add. Let's see how Moment wants us to do that. Add invalid moments. All the voting produced. Add 3 days. Okay, so we're actually getting 2 days, 22 hours, 43 minutes, and 32 seconds. Cool. All right, so now we can actually do something with that. 2 days, 22 hours. I'm going to stop this. All right, so JavaScript switch. I don't think they have. See, what were the styles we wanted to support? So we'll do textual. Digital. Yeah. Otherwise, we won't do anything at all. So if we specify an invalid type, we aren't going to worry about it. We'll do this dot show and we'll do the same thing for show digital. And there's probably better ways to do this, but I don't think I'm going to worry about it for now. Let's work on textual first. So show textual. We'll do diff. All right, and we want to get shadow root. And join. Awesome. All right, so let's do diff. Let's reduce. I think that can take keys. Accumulator current value. how do I want to approach this? So for the textual one, I want an array. So want the values to be based on the keys that I'm interested in. So days, hours, minutes, seconds. Map. Actually, let's do filter. Diff item. See if this gives me what I'm expecting. Expression is not defined. Oh. Days, minutes, seconds. All right, I'm going to add, instead of 3 days, let's add 5 hours. And we'll see if hours drops out as one of the values. Days should as well. No, just days will, actually. Yeah, so hours, minutes, seconds. And if I add, say, what's wrong here? So that's still in the past. Okay, so 36 minutes and 6 seconds. So it is trimming out hours and minutes in this case, and if I go up to minutes, hours, and say 5, then okay, cool. All right, so for show textual diff, and then I can map return. do the template strings, template literals. Doesn't like that. What doesn't it like? Oh, should be fine now. "33-minute string text." All right. Cool. So the only thing that I'll want to do here is make sure that that drops the S if the value is less than, well, unless the value is greater than 2. So key, I will do singularize key, diff key. Probably a more efficient way to do this, but I'm just going to allow it. I'm going to return, replace trailing S with nothing. And actually, this doesn't need to be on the class. This can be up here. All right, so if the value is greater than 1, return the plural. Otherwise, return that. So let's see here. 3 hours, 30 minutes, and 23 seconds. So let's actually drop that down to 3 hours. 1 hour, 30 minutes, 10 seconds. All right, let's add this. Textual, where's it at? Show ended, and let's do instead this. All right, so kind of don't like the fact that it drops seconds at the end there, but I think I'm just going to let that one slide because this is pretty nice the way it is. All right, so for live session, I'm going to add one more. Let's go ahead and add another one that we're simply going to change it to display style digital. And in this case, it doesn't update anything. This show digital is not a function. Okay, that's fine. Now this one's going to be different because we more or less want to sprintf. JavaScript 0, leading 0. Ooh. What is this? All right, function pad. No, you never use more than X numbers of zeros. This might be better. Assumes you'll never want more than 10 digits. Length is less than size or 2. All right. I actually like this. Put it up here. Let's call it 0 pad. Minutes and then seconds. Awesome. Cool, so it looks like I'm going to be able to use that for something else. Let's see what happens when it hits 0. Cool. All right, so I've now created my very first web component, which took a little longer than I thought it would. Looks like we're almost at 2 hours. Getting halfway there. So, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and change this to not add 3 hours. And if I need to test this somewhere else, I can. I think something else that I wanted to do here is probably, well, eventually I'll want to change these values. I wonder what would happen if those values change. Attribute changed callback. Awesome. So the things that could potentially change here on the element most likely would be the until. So the only thing that we'd really want to pay attention to. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So name, old value. So custom square element attributes changed. Update style. So it's actually getting the attribute there. I wonder if that might be better than what I'm currently doing. I'm actually thinking it probably would be. Because, And I actually wouldn't need to clear the interval. All right, so let's go ahead and try this one more time. Dot add 3 days. Nope, not gonna work. Starts 1 hour ago. No. Display style. Cool. So what this sets us up for is the ability to go in and update the time on occasion. So if I remove this bit, if I wanted to add an API endpoint to return the next value, I could go ahead and do that and say in live session, actually, I could potentially just do this outright. Let's do it. Let's set another interval. And let's set this one for, say, maybe every 10 minutes. 60 seconds, 60. Also, every minute. Let's do every 5 minutes, which I think is just 300. So let's just do that. And let's expose this on the API somehow. So if there's a maker bundle command I can do for that, bin console, see make, subscriber. So I think I have API platform here, right? Yeah, so how do I add additional stuff to that? So resources. Let's see if that exists here. Import existing one, schema works. Let's see, what did it say? Some React skills. All right. Bring your own model. Configuration. Eager loading. This user. OAuth. GraphQL Swagger collection. Mapping. Files or directories with vulnerable. Look for additional resource files. Already default order, filters, contents. Troubleshooting, computer code of conduct. So distributions. I just want to add a new endpoint. It's awesome that it does absolutely everything, but I wish it didn't do absolutely everything. Or any other persistence. It must be simple. It's usually just data structure. Okay, so just plain old PHP object representing the input and output of your endpoint. So it's the developer. If and only if the class instruction to provide or persistor. To create event sourcing based system. All right, so let's look at what entity did. So it just needs to be an API resource. So we have the calendar thing. Where's it getting that from again? It's just getting it straight from the cache. All right. Let's create a new entity. Actually, always customize Swagger and Hydra. Collection of actions, collection of resources. So I don't want a collection item operations. So I didn't create any classes specifically for dealing with this, which is interesting. It's just storing this information there. So I think I'm not even going to bother using API platform for this. I'm going to make a calendar controller. I'm going to delete this little bit. There we go. All right, and then let's get the cache interface. We'll get the information the same way that we're getting it for live sessions. Cache get. Can't abort. Fail. Return. That's actually probably not. Required parameter path missing. It's just a server error. Server's unavailable. It's probably the best. So server's not available. No, that's not what I want. Symfony 5.3. Don't remember if they're going to be inside HTTP kernel or HTTP foundation. Looks like maybe kernel. Number of seconds of videos tried. Oh yeah, it's not actually using it. Okay, so it is service unavailable HTTP exception. And what does it take? Retry after. Yeah, I'm not going to send any of those. Otherwise, let's do 0. So this is /API next calendar event. so let's do a little better job of this because we actually need specific pieces. If we look at what we were getting from live session, we need the start date formatted to C, so event 0 start. And then time zone. Start of non-object. Right. You know, going back and forth between JavaScript and PHP sometimes can be quite fun. Forget about things like this. All right, so we're getting the value that we need. At this point, it's still the one that we're on right now. If we look at our source, let's see, but this is actually, this doesn't have that time zone information in it. Why is that? So it says 10.5.01. 10.5.01. All right, so we're getting the same value here. And time zone is America, Chicago. Time zone is UTC. The date is already a time zone. Or at 20. All right, well, at least they're the same now. Okay. Let's do data JavaScript 16. Wait, wrappers and libraries, Ajax, Axios. Observables. Axios. I know that Axios is something that the Laravel community is doing a lot. So I think I'm just going to stick with that. I do believe the web components custom elements is a part of web components JS, so I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to go back to app.js. May have done that too soon. See how we're supposed to get this. See if I can remove it and our component still works. No. So someone else add what's the difference here? Native shim, custom, put this aggregate repos. What's the difference to also customer elements? Great question. All right, so I think if I'm reading this right, web component bundle.js. Should be the same as requiring the shim. Let's see if we're back to where we were before. Yay, okay. All right, and we have this page returning what we're looking for there. I think I just included Axios. So I'm gonna go back into our app.js, and inside this other interval, actually is that? Yeah, I think so, those are seconds. It's an interval. Need to see how we use Axios. Axios.get. What did we call it here? Next calendar event. Then see if there's any JSON options here. Defaults to JSON. Okay. Response will have data. Let's do this every 10 seconds. We don't need that. All right. right, so this actually is every second, which is good. So what I had before, I wanted to do every 10 seconds. So we'll see here if after 10 seconds it triggers something. Cool. Okay. And what we'd want to do then would be, can I still do this? I think I can. Okay, cool. So what we need to do now is make sure that we actually get or update the data. So data looks like data.start. Is it just time zone? Yeah. So every 10 seconds, it's going to do that. So what I'm going to try and do in our calendar controller is get it to update this start time. All right, so let's do add so this is adding 10 hours and 30 seconds. Let's see if that actually works. What we were getting before was 10 o'clock. Now we're getting 10 more hours after 10, be, I guess, 6 and 30. So if this is working, actually, any second now. Ah. So I need to do this on the shadow. Let's see here. So set interval. And then we need to do, oh, actually we would need this then. So we just need shadow. So we need to make sure we're actually updating the shadow on this element. So I'm going to need to reload. So starts 2 hours ago and then any second now. And then promise data is not defined. Okay, cool. So we're getting there. So we need response.data. So what we're simulating here is several days later, or what at the end of an episode, once we're actually beyond the time and there's an actual next episode available, it should update. Set attribute is not a function. I didn't really think that this would matter. Shadow.set attribute is not a function. It's read-only property. Why doesn't this work? It's in digital, that's why. All right, so what are these life cycle methods? Life cycle. possible that this can't be done internally. Astrocasts countdown, document fragment. Properties versus attributes. Do not override author set global attributes as a primitive data. Custom elements. From property to attribute and vice versa. Set a property in JavaScript and then expect to read that value using the API like an attribute. If every attribute has a corresponding property and both of them reflect, it will get easier. Calling set attribute foo value should also set a corresponding foo property and vice versa. Rich data objects as properties not reflect rich data as attributes. Do not self-apply classes. Elements. This, I'm not sure this is even relevant. I'm not sure what the difference is. Cause an infinite loop. If is checked, it sets this property again. Set attribute checked. These two bits of code look identical. Set attribute, remove attribute. And now it's not doing it. This is not far enough in the future, which doesn't make sense. Let's do 3 hours. I'm actually not sure. Oh, 10:4 at 11. Okay. Not sure why this callback's not happening though. I would guess it should be, but I don't need it, so I'm just going to remove it. I just don't know why. All right. So I think the other problem here is that it still thinks this is the next episode, which means I'm guessing that there's more time zone oddities happening here. So we have time zone, get time zone name. Let's do get calendar command. Oh. Wow. Okay. It's a little more complicated than I thought it would be. And I think that means we should probably have something managing this. So the problem is that we are getting everything from now until 2 weeks from now. It's not really a problem, except that this is how we're determining which episode is next. So even though there are some events that may be canceled, or not canceled, but already gone, we're not doing anything with that. So let's go to the calendar controller first. And let's do some filters. So collect filter event and then let's do return event start is greater than now. To add on an array. Ah. There we go. There we go. All right, so now it's actually looking where it's supposed to. So I don't even have to add this anymore, but I'll keep this here just so we can tweak it later. So it's rightfully saying the next episode is actually going to be Monday. So if I go back here, it's already updated correctly. So this is cool. So 3 hours, 17 hours, 11 minutes, and 12 seconds. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and reload this. 2 hours ago, any second now. Okay. So I'm going to copy this same bit to the live sessions. And this is where it gets a little weird. And I'm going to just pass the next event, because we only need the one. So event instead of events. Events 0 to next event. All right, so this will buy me a little bit of time. All right, so the other thing we wanted to do, or need to do, is say, All right, and then if we go back to our calendar controller, let's add PT 2 days. So this should jump up to 5 days. Oh, request failed. PT. Why would that fail? What a bad date format. PT 3H. All right, so that's, I guess I'm not sure what the D format there. So 3 days, 17 hours should jump up to 20 hours. There we go. All right, so I think this is going to be awesome. I think we might need to do the same thing on the home controller. Yes, so this is something that I should very quickly fix, because this is not nice at all. Events. Isn't going to fail gracefully if there's nothing in the cache though, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. There is stuff in the cache, so I think I'm okay for now. Let's do live session. Do the same thing here. There we go. So next session starts. So we're still leveraging the existing twig time diff, which is great. It gives us a basic starting point for people who are just using plain old HTML, which is nice. Next session starts, 3 days. I don't really like the jumping, but I'm not sure if there's much I can do about that with this format. I think it works more or less as expected. See if it pops up to 20. Awesome. Cool. A little bit of inception here, which is kind of nice. All right, so I'm going to call this good, I think, for the night. So I add a little bit of nicety to the page when people are checking it out. What all do I need to do to clean it up? I think I need to change the calendar controller. I don't want it to be adding stuff. I don't need it to do that. I'm going to go back to the help text, web component. We got this done, but we need to, I'll just call it good for now. But we should extract into its own file. And it was Astrocasts countdown. Extract into its own file, and then we need to the calendar events. We'll just call it a repository. And one of the things it needs to do clean up duplication of trimming first event if it is in the past. Yeah, that's going to need some more logic, because I think what's going to happen now is when it picks up the next events, yeah. So what's going to happen now is anytime it comes back to this API endpoint, it's going to immediately get the next episode. So we're not going to have the case where it's going to say starting any minute now for very long, because as soon as it flips over to the next thing, it's going to immediately start saying like 3 days from now or 2 hours from now or whatever. So to fix that, I think what I need to do is subtract some time. Actually, can I do get calendar? I was doing date time is now. I think this will work. Wow. So the start time is 4. It's greater than 5. So if the start time is at 4, and now is 4:30. Yeah, I think this is right. So if now is 4:30, I'd actually want to say now is 3:30, because 4 is greater than 3:30. We'll try it. This would be a great time for me to try to use tests or something, but yeah. I don't have those yet, and I'm actually horrible at testing, so hopefully that's something I can get better at as a part of this whole Astrocast thing. Live sessions. Again, this should not be duplicated in 3 places, but it is what it is for now. So I'll call this good. I'm going to see if I can get this committed and deployed and see if this actually gets out there. Thanks for joining tonight. If you have any questions or want to join the community, we do have a Discord chat now. So if you want to join the chat, that would be great. Otherwise, if you're watching on Twitch or Google, join the chat. It's more fun when I can actually be talking with people, working through these things. So thanks for joining. I'll be back again on Monday from 4 to 5 U.S. Central Time. And then I'll do some more of these late night sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thanks again, and have a good weekend.